Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at A1, Volume 2, Number 2. This is the second A1 issue published by Epic Comics. And we start off with a Hunt Emerson cover. This is very unlike all the other A1s we've seen. They usually have, serious covers, painted. They could be the covers for Epic Illustrated or Heavy Metal. But this is just a great underground cartoonist cover. And what a great cartoonist Hunt Emerson is. Look at all these just random, goofy comic characters. It's almost like different cartoony styles, each person. Just really great stuff. This is his character, Max Zillion, who we shall see inside. He's a jazz bow. Once again, we have the end papers here on the title page. Still not sure who they are by. Still no credit. Contents page. And we start with Hunt Emerson's Max Zillion and Alter Ego. So, Max Zillion is this character. There's many strips of Max Zillion. In fact, I have a collection of all of his Max Zillion strips. He's this jazz bow, and his sidekick is his saxophone, who talks to him. His name's Alto. And so Max is a free spirit type. He hates to work, even to work gigs. So he has this dilemma. He's totally broke, but he doesn't want to work. So the sax is like, okay, listen, you got to pawn me and take the money, pay your rent, buy some food. So he pawns his saxophone for $50 or something and pays his rent. And then he sees his manager, Mean McMudda, and he says, hey, I got you a gig. It's for $50. And he says, oh, but my sax is in the shop, is at the pawn shop. Could I get an advance? And he says, no, I never give advances. So he goes to the pawn at first he borrows a sax from a friend. But the dilemma is, he's like, no offense, saxophone, because this saxophone talks too. He says, I need my own horn to really cook. And so he goes to the pawn shop, and Alto is talking to him through the window. And he says, I got an idea. You can blow into me, and this moose head that I've befriended here will keep all the sound in. And basically, you'll suck up all the jazz that you're making. It's such a weird idea. I like how he also makes friends with these wooden legs, and that's how he walks to the mail slot. So Max can blow on him, and then look, he's holding it all in, all the jazz. So at the gig that night, he's saying, I gotta let it trickle out slowly. It's gotta last all night, this jazz in me. And it's a really dead gig because he's not cutting loose. And we see the crowd slowly like dying and passing out, and they're just dead in the last panel. And even his bass player falls asleep on stage. But when Max is knocked off of the stage by his sleepy bass player, all of the jazz comes out in one, almost like a flamethrower. And everyone in the crowd is like, what? And they go crazy. And it actually looks like it's flames coming out. It's actual flames coming out of a sax, because it burns the whole club. And the club owner says, it's going to cost me $39.75 to redecorate. So I'm only giving you $10, $10.25. This cartoon is so much fun to me. I just love Hunt Emerson stuff. I should also mention the colors are by this guy, T. Carter. Just because the colors are really nice in this. It really adds to the fun. So then, of course, he owns his $10 to his manager, his scummy manager. And then luckily, though, when he goes to the pawn shop, he walks by the pawn shop, and the pawn shop owner says, "Hey, I caught your gig last night. That was crazy. You know, just for you, you can have your sax back, and I'll let you pay the pawn money in installments." And so he gets Alto back, and they got no money. Once again, they're back to zero. But they got each other, and they can make some crazy jazz. That's all Max Zillion wants to do, is just play his horn. Not even on stage. So now we have Deadline by George Pratt. And this is weird because, okay, the first issue, we had Scott Hampton, who always has this beautiful, makes these beautiful painted comics. And he did that, like, weird cartoony one, which, to be honest, wasn't nearly as appealing to the eye as his normal stuff. And now George Pratt's doing it. The other great painter in comics, or one of the better painters ever to work in comics, and he does the same thing. And he makes this kind of goofy comic. We've seen this all before. A cartoonist complaining about his deadlines and how he doesn't have an idea for a story. So he ends up making a story about being a cartoonist with a deadline and not being able to make up a story. God, I've read this comic so many times, and it's such kind of a cop-out. This is an interesting thing. All the page numbers of this story are comic pages. But it's also kind of a waste of space. I think he formatted it wrong. He thought he was drawing this for an 8.5 by 11 magazine, I guess. It's pretty nice cartooning. And this is nice because he says, "Oh, what kind of story could I do? An African folktale, a pretentious tale of poetry, a tale of the blues, a World War I tale." So we get to see snippets of what would have been better comics than this. But that's all we get. And then he goes back to this autobio thing, little Batman idea. But then he does get around to trying to tell a little slice of life story. And the art gets way better. Look at it. I love this. That's so good. All this is really interesting. The coloring, the art. Look at the shading in this one. That is completely like, I don't know. I know I bring him up a lot, but it's like totally like Jose Munoz. Or, I don't know, some abstract artist. But then, unfortunately, that story within a story ends, and we're back to this goofy, cartoony art, which is still pretty damn nice. I mean, George Pratt's a good artist all around, but I'd much rather see, like, his beautiful, fully painted stuff. Next, we have Cheeky Weeb. Sorry, just saying that made me laugh. Cheeky Wee, Budgie Boy, the Castafiore affair. And this is actually I forgot. I think it's written by John Beeston and drawn by Philip Bond. Maybe they collaborated on the story, I'm not sure. But it's obviously Philip Bond art. And it's kind of fun. This guy, Cheeky Wee, he's a budgie man. And I guess it's his girlfriend's birthday. She really wants to go to the opera, so he takes her. It's in some kind of weird, nebulous future, because they go in a flying car. The architecture is kind of weird. And this opera is about the space landing. I'm sorry, the moon landing. And then in the middle of the opera, all of a sudden, this missile comes into the theater and kills the soprano who was singing their aria. I want to use this in my lexicon from now on. She says, his girlfriend says, "Holy Joe Tomato." Then, so they confer with the police. It's kind of implied that Budgie Boy maybe was on the force at one point, because he's talking to this sergeant. I'll think of his name in a second. Sorry, I forgot his name. Oh, Jean. And Jean. Oh, his name is Jean Baptiste. So they seem to know each other. And Budgie Boy says, you know, we're gonna look into this. I guess he's like a private investigator or something, because he's pissed off that his girlfriend's birthday was ruined. So Jean-Baptiste gives him the lowdown. Apparently this is the 9th soprano killed in the past month. Someone's killing sopranos. And our heroes decide to stake out the Infantino Opera House, because it's the only one that the assassin hasn't hit yet. So they're doing a stakeout, hanging out outside the opera house and waiting for the soprano to do their aria. I wish they showed this from the front. I love this. It's a giant baby statue. Or I don't know if that's the building, a facade in the building. There's nice little touches like that throughout. It is this like weird sci-fi landscape. So all of a sudden they hear an explosion. They realize that the assassin must have killed another soprano. So it's kind of weird that they don't even try to save the soprano. They just are like, we'll wait for him to kill the next soprano and then we'll be able to catch him. And they see it. Budgie Boy's chasing after the guy and he looks like this. He's got this weird mask on. And Budgie Boy takes off his jacket, and he's got wings. And he flies after this assassin. The assassin falls off the ship that he was escaping on, and Budgie Boy catches him. And it turns out that it's Jean-Baptiste. And it's just a very ridiculous explanation. He says that he got flavor enhancers fitted into his molars. And whenever he heard a soprano after that, the vocal frequencies made him flip out. And then once after he killed his first soprano, he was hooked. He just can't help himself. So Budgie's going to fly him to the police station, but unfortunately he's not paying attention. And this tour bus, basically flying tour bus, sneaks up behind him, and Jean-Baptiste gets sucked up into the engine. And I guess that's the only thing left of him they bring to the police station is his head. And I guess it's supposed to be funny. It's so not. But they're like, yeah, here you go, Sergeant, the head of Jean-Baptiste. Which is like some movie or something, or I don't know, some book. So it's some reference, but it's just not funny at all. It's just stupid. And then Budgie and his girlfriend go off to have a nice romantic evening. Here we have Saccharine Fools by Nikabadzis. I really like Nikabadzis cartooning. Just very interesting style. Look at this lineup of characters. They're all just a bunch of weirdos. It looks like he put a lot of thought into every one of them. So this is another sci-fi tale, humorous sci-fi tale. And I guess in the future, the world's a freaking sewer. There's overheated. The atmosphere is all overheated and full of poisonous gases. People live like in these bunkers. They get 2 bowls of soup algae every day. So it looks like the Earth is pretty screwed. And this main character sees his friend Dirk. And Dirk, in the past few months, he's totally changed. Our protagonist is like, yeah, Dirk's really changed. And I guess he just like loves to talk about this flying pig, the glow pig. All the kids in the neighborhood always say, tell us about the glow pig again. But you almost get the sense that it's almost like this is could be maybe a new religion, you know? Like he's telling these kids this story to give them hope for the future. It's not just a goofy story. He's got a Mr. Natural jacket on. So Dirk's remembering how, I'm sorry, our protagonist, who I never got his name, actually. I don't think they ever say his name. The protagonist is remembering how Dirk used to be, and it looks like he's improved, because I guess he used to sit in his bedroom with thousands of dolls and torture them and butcher them and just be a maniac. He says it's because he joined the Green Party. It's all pretty silly. But then it gets kind of serious because the protagonist, he yells at Dirk and he realizes it's not Dirk's fault. He just, it's kind of the way a lot of us feel now, I guess, where it's just this anger and sorrow at how fucking stupid humanity is. And so, I mean, we're already worried as shit. Imagine if they actually did let the world get this bad. Every day you'd be so freaking angry. The world, for a lot of the world, is still pretty nice now. But I could see that. Just being bitter and pissed off every day. And then Dirk says, hey, I opened the door to the shelter. And I guess they go up to the surface. You'd think it would be heavily guarded or something. And it's just a total wasteland. But then Dirk says, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Dirk. The protagonist says, come on, let's go to bed. Enough of this. And they go back into the shelter. Just a very subdued little sci-fi tale. Next we have chapter 1 of King Leon. This is written by Peter Milligan, penciled by Jamie Hewlett, and inks by Glenn Dillon. And it seems like Glenn Dillon's inks are kind of heavy on this. I'm assuming that, because this Jamie Hewlett art isn't as fun as normal. Then again, the story doesn't call for that. This is kind of it's definitely got a lot of humor in it, this story, but it's trying to be kind of serious. Colors are by Joe Flatters, the painted colors, which are pretty damn nice. So we meet Leon. He's got this roommate, Candace, and Candace is hooking up with his friend, and he's got some weird Gervais. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I guess Gervais is this total ladies' man. And so Leon's late to work. Because of that, the Jaguar that he was supposed to work on that morning, in fact, the client even said, I want Leon to do it himself. Because he was late, the boss let another guy, another worker, work on the Jag. And right as the worker gets in the Jag to test it out, the thing explodes. It had a bomb in it. We see his arm falling from the sky, still holding a wrench. And he looks over, he sees this old man looking at him, staring at him. Then we see this mysterious group of men. They look kind of like old men, and we don't really know what they're talking about yet. But it's a flashback to 1946 too, I should say. And I guess we're introduced to Cavendish back in 1946. But we shall see him again. Well, we've already seen him. I might as well tell you. That's the old man looking at Leon when he, in present time. So the cops are questioning Leon. When he gets home, he passes out, wakes up in a hospital. And I guess the stress was just too much. He's got a really cute nurse. So, of course, when Gervais comes to visit him, Gervais is like, ooh, I'm going to chat her up. And it looks like he successfully chats her up. And we see the old man again. Leon realizes he's got to get out of there, even though he wasn't properly discharged. And he sneaks out of the hospital. He goes to see a movie. He doesn't want to go home yet. But when he gets home, Gervais is there with the nurse. And they're both dead by bullet wounds. It's just a scene of carnage. And then all of a sudden, Leon hears a banging on the door. And when he looks through the eye hole, he sees old man Cavendish there knocking on the door. So he runs out his window onto the balcony, crosses over to his neighbors, runs through their house and he tries to run down the stairwell, but there's two other like shady looking agent types who are coming up the stairs. And he barges through them. And right when he comes out to the street, Cavendish is waiting for him. It's kind of fun art. I kind of like it. I just don't like it as much as, like, the Tank Girl stuff, art-wise. Now we have another Frankenstein meets Shirley Temple by Roger Landridge. And once again, they're just talking about, this time they're talking about evolution. They're always talking about some heady concept, but they make it funny. He makes it funny. But look how, this art to me is just glorious looking. This is just so nice. These colors, just really beautiful. Such great cartooning too. I think I've never seen Landridge in color until A1. I guess his covers for his old comics. Nice looking stuff. They're not that funny to me though. I don't know, it's just a different sense of humor. And we have another one of these Wonderful Life comics by Steve White. Oh, I'm sorry, not a comic, just a pinup by Steve White. This one's about dolphins. Pretty nice. I actually thought this was a reprint. I was like, wait, that was the one in the last issue. It looks, in my memory, it's the same one. It doesn't look very different than the whale that was in the first one, so I don't know. He's a good painter, but these are a little boring. I guess it's not, I should be happy I'm learning something. There's a little educational stuff down there. So there you have it, guys. A1, Volume 2, Number 2. Hope you enjoyed looking at that. These A1s are definitely not as good as Volume 1 from Atomica Press, but they got a lot of nice stuff in them. And probably at the time, they were better than most anthologies that were coming out. So hope you'll stick around for the next 2 issues, and that's going to be it. It only went to number 4. So hope you like that, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.